I welcome you to Real Life Mom, the podcast with Meera Naidu. And today I'm here with my international guest, Preya Gopie. Hi, Priya, how are you doing?
Hey Mira, I'm doing very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. It's a lovely rainy day here in South Africa. How's things on that side?
Oh, in London, it's four seasons in one day. So it started off
Wow.
with drizzle this morning and it's sunny right now. So yeah, I'm just holding my breath.
Okay, guys, we're talking about something very exciting with Priya today, and it's how nutrition and movement impact our physical health. Um, Priya, can you give us a brief introduction about yourself so our listeners can understand who you are and a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So my background is a senior human resources professional for the past 15 years, working in mainly corporate banking. So a lot of my experience comes from there. I moved to London in 2004, and then in 2009, I qualified with a master's in human resources. And I did that 2 year part time degree whilst working for Barclays head office in Canary Wharf full time. So that was a challenge. And prior to that, I was very fortunate that my parents could afford to put me through tertiary education. So I went to Technicon Natal and I did a biotechnology diploma. So that's a little bit about myself in terms of my education and from a CV perspective. My current passion is women's health, physically and mentally, because I find our roles in society really fascinating and complex from puberty to pregnancy to menopause. There are so many stages in our lives, and there's so much we have to deal with. Um, Right now, I live in Northwest London, and because of the pandemic, I've been focusing on counseling women with mental health conditions for my local charity. So, although I can't meet them physically, I meet with them via Zoom. So, this medium works really well. Technology is working really very well. Um, what else can I share, Mira? I look at you and I feel I'm reminded by Dr. Vivek Murthy, who was the former general surgeon for the United States of America. And he's such a humble doctor, and the way he explained ancestry is really interesting for me. And I wonder if I can share that with you because,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I just
You
look at
go
you
ahead.
and
Sounds
we come
interesting.
from Durban. so so yeah, it's just I feel there are more similarities than differences between two people. So it's really interesting because my parents were born in Durban and their parents were born in Durban. However, my parents' grandparents were from India. And so I am the great granddaughter of a farmer who, I guess, from my father's side, took a boat in 1874 from the port of Calcutta and ended up in Durban and settled there for three generations. And so they came to work as sugarcane farmers. And we looked at the shipping records, and he worked for a company called Glasgow Sugarcane Company. So there you go. It's like really humble roots, humble
Wow.
beginnings. And I feel like even though I've migrated myself, I wouldn't be able to compare what my ancestors have done versus the journey I'm on. So there you go.
So you also having your own journey there in a foreign land. That's amazing.
Exactly,
It's
exactly.
amazing how similar we are to our ancestors in some ways, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Priya, right now, it's quite overwhelming when we think about physical health and well-being. I think it's a very hot topic at the moment in these COVID times. How do we know what to do when it comes to taking care of our physical health? Can you share maybe some tips or break it down for us in a simple way?
Yeah, sure. So, I think we need to really start at the grassroots level. and really work out what does good physical health mean for me personally, because every one of us is completely unique and different. And so what I mean by taking it down to a basic level is just getting to grips with understanding what it is and what does it mean for you. So let's just take a step back and look at the medical term of good physical health, which is the absence of disease. And now we all have little niggles and worries about our health. So it's impossible to be free of disease at any stage in our lives, right? So I guess where I'm heading towards is something called a physical health check. So it's a very simple questionnaire I designed, which is just three questions, right? So the first question is, what does good physical health mean for me? So your listeners can take the first step from moving from denial into research just by listening to this podcast and then making a note on their phone or grabbing pen and paper and answering this first question for themselves. So what does good physical health mean? So Mira, we can play along as well. I'll give you a few examples of what I mean by this question and how you could answer it appropriately.
Sure.
So examples would be great. So yeah, so examples would be, I've had a long week. I need to have a lie-in on a Saturday. I need my rest. I need my body to rest. So that could mean that's what good physical health means for me. Or it could mean I need to get up and go do a park run, when park run comes back. Everybody's
Correct.
waiting for
Yes.
this pandemic.
What does good look like, basically? What does good health look like?
Exactly. But what does it mean for me? Do I need to drink 2 liters of water because I'm thirsty or I'm tired? um, you need to work out what this means for yourself. So in the UK, and because I am in a first world developed country, there's so much exposure. Like you said, there's almost too much information out there. So, for example, a really positive campaign that's going on is the endometriosis awareness month that's taking place now. And although it's a condition I don't suffer from personally, it's really good that societies and communities can talk about it and understand a little bit about it, as well as empathize with women who do have it. So again, it's just taking that first step and understanding what good physical health means for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think doing that analysis would be very helpful, and it would actually be empowering because you know exactly where you're standing and then where to
Exactly.
next.
Exactly. So it brings me to the next two questions. The next question to ask yourself is, what's my track record, right? What does my medical history and my medical record say about me? What's happened in the last month, 2 months, 6 months, even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? What is personal to me? So we would use that example again, of endometriosis, etc., and then work out, what it is that's the slight niggles or that you're slightly unhappy with. It could be weight, it could be anything, just getting 10,000 steps a day. But what is my medical record and history saying about me? And then the final question is, what is happening in the family? What has happened in terms of health for the family, in terms of your parents? What have they had? Because what you need to think about is, apart from yourself, is also your kids, right? What
Yeah.
have my family members suffered from? So those are the three basic questions to make a note of and to ask yourself really candidly. Um, According to the World Health Organization, it's something like the major diseases that are coming our way is cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and for women, it's breast cancer. We've got to consider osteoporosis. There's so much that's going on. But if I look at my family, something that was unique to my father, he
Mhm.
suffered from Parkinson's disease, unfortunately, for over a decade. And he passed away in 2009. But
Sorry
for
to
the
hear.
family that had never even heard of Parkinson's disease, Mira, it was learning and understanding more about this brain degenerative condition he had. And it was so sad because he would feel so much of anxiety and shame to want to walk without the tremors and the shakes. And obviously,
Yeah.
he's not capable of doing it. So yeah, getting to understand, what your family is going through or what's coming down the line is just a good little physical health audit check, health audit check really, to find out what is going on that's unique to you, really.
Yeah, like what the future might hold for you if you don't take care of your health, I think that's a great eye-opening analysis. Thank you so much, Priya. That's really great. So those three questions, I think will serve anyone really well to basically plan out, where they are now, what's the possibility of the future, and then yeah, what they can do to put the precautions in place or take care of their health right now. So
Exactly.
thanks, Priya. That was really great. But can you tell us a little bit more about your thoughts on nutrition? Um, Maybe what is good nutrition? What should we be putting into our mouths every day?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So I'm by no means a nutritionist. I'm a microbiologist, right? Just to make that absolutely clear. But I have
great.
this natural curiosity about gut biomes. The gut biome is 39 trillion gut bacteria. They live with you for all of your life, and you've got to take care of them like a well-maintained garden. So basically, I view food as fuel. Fuel because it is providing energy, the body metabolizes it, and so we can do our daily functions and perform at our peak performance and at our best. Um, the unfortunate thing is what we're seeing in United Kingdom is at least 1 in 5 people suffer from IBS type symptoms, whether it's bloating or whatever it is. It's just IBS, sorry, I should explain, is irritable bowel syndrome.
Yeah.
So it can impact anybody at any stage of their lives. Um, I would recommend looking up Jeanette Hyde. She's a nutritionist in the United Kingdom, and she's brilliant. She's got some really good books if you want to learn a bit more about that condition. But her basic advice is eat a rainbow, have a full diversity of colored fruits and vegetables, and just make sure that is in your diet because you need to have all that good fiber and plant phenols and all those good chemicals that can't be made, can't be manufactured, and really, treat your gut microbiome really very well because having good gut microbiome means a strong immune system, maintaining good health, maintaining good weight. Good gut health is so important right now. And then another thing I would say is also trying out a time restricted diet as part of your lifestyle.
Ah, that sounds interesting. Could you share more about that time restricted diet with us?
Yeah, sure. So there's a very well known professor named Professor Sachin Panda, and I think he's based in the US, and he's done a brilliant scientific study on laboratory mice. So we know we have to deal with a Western lifestyle culture. Snacks are available all the time. So what he had done was he had two sets of mice, one on a time restricted diet, which meant that they could only eat within a 10-hour window versus the mice that could eat for 24 hours. So what had happened was that after several weeks, the mice that could eat 24 hours, when they did the test, their gut microbiome was unhealthy, very poor, but they also suffered from cardiovascular diseases, fatty liver disease, what else? A whole lot of diseases related to obesity. And then the mice that were within the 10-hour window, they were fine, they were healthy, really good gut microbiome. And so, Mira, I've sent you a scientific paper as well. So if any of your listeners would like to Google him or research more, it's really fascinating. But basically, the advice is if you can try and eat within the 10-hour window, that could only mean a good thing because you can avoid the risk of chronic disease. So that's pretty much what his passion and his research is really pertaining to. So I found a lot of value in that, and it's something I do with my family and my household.
Oh, that's fantastic. And it's so incredible to hear that it's not just, hearsay. It's, fact someone's gone out and tried this and it's proven. I will be sharing this article on my blog and my social media pages for those who are interested. After this podcast, you can log on and check it out. Um,
Fantastic.
so let's move on then. What do we need to do for better physical health, Priya? Tell us.
It's a tough one, right? It's a tough one because my basic persona is about making sense. It shouldn't be hard work. It's all of this should be common sense and good judgment. But why is it so hard to move, right?
Mhm.
We know regular exercise improves our health. It helps with so many diseases and conditions, but why is it so difficult? So there was also a study done that if you had to ask somebody, how do you feel before you go for a walk? They would probably say, oh, I feel a 2 out of 5, really. I don't really feel anything.
Yeah.
But if you ask the person who has gone on a 20-minute, that same person goes on a 20-minute walk, fresh air, just, in sunshine or whatever it is, in the rain with an umbrella in London sometimes. But when you ask them, how do they feel, then it's been proven that they feel 4 out of 5. They feel good,
Yeah.
So we persistently underestimate the power of walking. It's unfortunate, but it is just something that we do. I don't know why, but it is just what we do. So it's something that you need to try to form into a habit, I suppose. From a
Yeah.
personal perspective, I run a lot. I used to be lazy and go on the treadmill, and somebody said to me that's actually the dreadmill at the gym. You know?
Yeah.
Do you agree? I don't
Dreadful,
know.
definitely dreadful. It's too boring.
Exactly. I'm just lazy. I used to feel it really would push me along. But with the pandemic, I had to learn how to run outside, which was really very challenging because for a whole multitude of reasons or excuses, safety or the weather or whatever it is. But it is forming that habit and trying to make it easy. So, going for a run or going for a walk, it's really important. Some of my clients say to me, "Oh no, I can't run. My knees are killing me, or it's not possible." And so my advice would be is research. Knees are made up of really tiny small muscles, and you can strength train those muscles by doing two simple exercises. Just two. One is something called a wall sit. So you put your back up against the wall and you sit on an imaginary chair that's not there. It's really,
Yeah.
really challenging to do. The other exercise is in standing upright, bend your knees, and you just do knee circles. And I'm moving now as if I'm doing them, but those are two simple, really simple exercises to do something about your knees if that is your unique issue, right? So that's what I would say. I do those exercises in any case just to warm up my muscles before I do any movement. So they're really useful.
It's great, Priya. I mean, it seems like you've got this down to a fine comb. When we have a problem, there's something that we can do to figure it out and to solve it and to overcome it. So yeah, that's really great. Um, to summarize, then, is it maybe can you share with my listeners then what they can put in place right now, basically from today, to improve their health? Um,
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's good question to end with. Is just some really good tips. I would say do the minimum. So definitely the 2 liters of water a day.
yeah,
Um, eat a rainbow. So that means eat the most colorful fruits, vegetables. Change up your breakfast. Don't have the same thing every day. Try to eat within 10 hours. Try to eat within 8 hours. Some people do 6 hours of intermittent fasting. It depends what you're
yeah,
doing and how sensible you are. Again, read up more if you need more help. Jeanette Hyde is the lady who's published these books, which are great. I think it's called a 10-hour gut makeover or something. Um, what else? Try out the physical health audit check and get to know yourself really well. And yeah, and make it a habit. Whatever you start doing, try to make it an easy peasy habit. Actually, Mira, you remind, I know you just like singing my glory just then, but you just reminded me that my easy peasy goal was to do 10 squats a day. It sounds so easy, right? I just thought,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
that's
only
my
10.
goal. Yeah, exactly. Do I achieve it? No, of course I don't. I probably get 5 days out of 7 where I remember to do it, or I'm just too lazy. But I know that's my goal for 2021. Some people
Yeah.
wish to plank for 1 minute, or some people like to try different things. That's okay. But really try and form that habit and stick with it. I guess that would be the best advice I could give. And again, with the intermittent, time restricted fasting, you'll only see results after a month. So make sure
Okay.
you stick with it. Yeah, stick with it. Avoid the carbonated drinks, sodas, alcohol, and stick with just herbal tea and water, and you should see results in just a month's time.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Priya. That I think those are amazing tips and techniques that anyone can start putting into practice and improving their health and wellness very quickly. I myself, I'm going to be doing the first three questions that we talked about earlier, doing that analysis, and then just putting simple goals into place, like maybe not 10 squats, maybe 5 squats. And
I'm gonna
then
hold you to it.
yeah, 5 squats a day, and then see from there what else I can do to improve my health. um so Priya, I know this is the first time on Real Life Mom, the podcast, uh, but I always ask my guests five questions, um, and you can answer these questions by way of one word or a bit of a story if that's your answer. So yeah, I'm just gonna shoot off, and you can let us know your thoughts on these questions. So, who or what are your sources of inspiration?
That's a good question. I suppose people. I'm really fired up by people because of my human resources background, I suppose. The
Yeah,
people psychology of it. I guess I miss that so much now being in a pandemic. It used to be so easy to meet up, um, listening to people and being inspired by people. And yeah, I guess that I miss that a little bit, and things will change, when I get
yeah,
back to
yeah.
family and friends when we're out of this pandemic. But yeah, my inspiration comes from
People.
people.
Okay. And then, can you tell me about your best childhood memory?
Oh, Mira, you should know this is gonna come. So for your let's not have too much fun. But for your listeners out there, um, Mira and I were almost childhood friends because of family friends. And so we would play this game when Mira and her sister would come around to my house, and we would call it like a show and tell extravaganza show. And we would just make up a little play, and we would just dance around in our saris and just have a lot of fun. Do you remember that, Mira?
Yes, I can't even forget that, even if I wanted to.
Well, just looking at your smiley face, although we're thousands of miles apart, that's a really happy childhood memory for me. So thank you for being a part of that.
Oh, no, thank you. You were the leader of the pack for that one. So, Priya, my next question is, how do you manage your time so that you can be fulfilled in every aspect of your life?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So, the British they feel like they've invented time, right? With Greenwich Meridian time. So basically, time is really important in terms of British culture. So, um, I'm very ruthless with time. I'm quite focused. I use my iPhone notes so that I know exactly what I'm doing for the week, for the month, just planning. Um, I've always had a 5-year plan. I know it works for some people, it doesn't work for others, but I take more calculated risks. I feel um, sometimes fate happens. Look at this opportunity we're having right now, a heart-to-heart conversation. This is so mind-blowing.
Exactly.
I couldn't have planned this 6 months ago. So
Or
so
even
this is
five
the
years
beauty
ago.
of exactly. And this is leveraging the pandemic, the opportunities, and the technology. And so I feel that it can be time wasting, the amount of time we spend on social media or sitting in front of the TV, but it can be such a good use of time if we decide to learn something or change a habit or be curious. So that's how I use my time.
That's important. Okay, and the second last question I have for you is, what advice would you give a child to stay determined?
Oh, I love that.
Mm.
I love that because it's so challenging right now for kids, right? We know that there's going to be so much for them, growing up with this kind of, I don't want to use the word trauma, but it's been challenging for kids
Yeah,
understanding what social norms are, looking at people with masks, not being able to facially read people. Um, you know, just hang in there and things will get better and we will come out of this and it will be normal to give family members and friends hugs and go to school with normality, and it will get better. It's a hard slog now. It is a really hard slog, but it will get better, and we will come out of this stronger.
thank you. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. Okay, and my last question, and it's always a funny one, but it's also very thought-provoking. But if you could be an animal for a week, what would you be?
Oh, just a week.
Just only a week,
Okay.
not longer.
Oh, I'm gonna squeeze a lot into this. Let me have a think. So, I would like to be a tortoise because I will be so good eating all my leafy green vegetable. But I would love to visit my cousin the turtle, but it has to be during like hatching season so I can
Wow.
see all the little baby turtles going into the ocean.
Ulterior motives. Visiting family.
Exactly. There's a theme, right, Mira? So
Wow.
yeah, I'd love to be a tortoise. Have you had that before on your show?
No, I haven't. You're the first one. But
Yeah,
that's pretty
there you
cool.
go.
Thank you so much, Priya. Thank you so much for joining me on Real Life Mom, the podcast, for taking time out of your very hectic schedule. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone that's watching and listening to the show. Be sure to subscribe to Real Life Mom, the podcast, and subscribe to um, my YouTube channel as well. Stay safe out there, and goodbye.
Bye.